So what we're going to look at is an average rate of change, which is a fancy way of saying slope. And if some of you are going on to calculus, you're going to take calculus in college. Calculus is the study of rates of change. You can sum it up just in the word slope. Before I get into this, let's just make up a problem to review back from Algebra 1, just a margin problem off to the side. Give me some single digit numbers and we'll just practice doing a slope to see if we all remember how to do a slope. All right, 6, I'm going to make that one negative. And then let's do another one. 2, I mean, I guess it's up to you. Your notes belong to you, so you can write as much or as little as you want. I just want to review what a slope is so you can understand. When I make it more complicated, you can relate it to the simpler version of things. So when you go to get your slope, I'm going to tell you, obviously, but I want to throw the question out there. Does anyone remember how to find a slope from 2 points? Oh, good. Y2 minus Y1 over... Get my freshmen to remember that. That'd be great. Okay, so which two are the Y numbers? But good. It doesn't matter which order you do this, but you have to be consistent. I always do the second one and then the first one just because the formula says Y2 minus Y1. So I'm going to put the 4 first. It actually doesn't matter, but it will be 4 minus negative 8. So good, it'll be plus 8. And then in the denominator, you would have 2 minus 6. And then we're just going to work that out. So that would be, 12 over negative 4. So negative 3. And what that means is if I made you graph the line, it would be down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. Do you remember in Algebra 1 when for like 2 to 3 months of your life, it was up 3 over 7 or down 5, left 4, slope? Okay, it's a big topic. We're going to draw a picture to understand it in a more complicated way. So I want you to just draw yourself a graph. Just draw an exponential, draw a swoopy thing. So we're going to start here. This is your value x. And if you plug x into the function, that output is going to be f of x. I realize that the notation, it starts to look like the whole alphabet gets on your paper at a certain point. We're going to have more letters in just a second, but are you good with x, f of x? Like input, output. I know it's going to start to look complicated, but it's not a difficult topic to understand. Like input is x, output is f of x. All right, now we need another point. So we're going to go a distance of h. H is typically the letter of the alphabet that's used for this. Now don't overthink this. If you start at x and you go a distance of h, where do you end up at? X plus h. Very good. We didn't overthink it. X plus h. If you start at x, and you go a distance of h, you've ended up at x plus h. Okay. So where that point hits the graph, what would the output be? Good. And I get that that looks kind of complicated, but if you input x plus h, your output is f of x plus h. I'm sorry, that's much simpler. So what we're going to do is find the slope between those 2 points. Like if you were to connect them, what is the slope of that line? That's what we're going to find, okay? Exactly the same way that we did this up here, just instead of numbers, you're going to have x's and h's and stuff in it. Algebra, calculus. See what I'm saying? These are the y's. So you're going to subtract them. It's f of x plus h minus f of x. I think I just broke this pencil. I got to go grab another one. Over. And then these are your x values. You're going to subtract them. It would be x plus h minus x. So again, I know it looks really complex, but do you see how I just subtracted these two? And then I put a fraction bar and then I subtracted these two. Now there's actually one thing that you can simplify there to make it look a little bit better. Yeah, good. The x and the denominator are going to cancel. So these are going to cancel out. And so it is actually just f of x plus h minus f of x over what? H. And that's the thing that you need to know. But I will go ahead and tell you, I am a poor memorizer. I am not good at memorizing stuff. That's why history was a bad subject for me. I was not good at memorizing things. I am good, however, at following directions. That I'm good at. So I view it as steps. Instead of just trying to memorize that whole thing, I view it as steps. So listen, if you're not a good memorizer either, listen to me. Step 1, plug in x plus h. Step 1 is just plug in x plus h. Step 2, subtract the function. Step 3, put it all over h. So just view it as steps. Once you start doing a bunch of these, it'll start to become a process. Oh, and I should have written that over here. You can write it again if you want. This is your difference quotient. The reason it's called a difference quotient is, what does the word difference mean? Do you remember like sum and difference? Bless you. Yeah, good. And do you see how this is subtraction? Do you remember what quotient means? Division. Do you see how we have a division bar? That's why it's called a difference quotient. Okay. But we're just going to use that and do each of these problems. All right. So the first thing, step 1. What is step 1? You're going to plug in x plus h. So do you see right there where x is? We're going to remove that and plug in x plus h. So you're recopying the problem, just plugging in an x plus h. And again, that's like kind of the reason this fits in with this unit, is because we're plugging something into a function. That's like the only sort of similarity. All right, what was step 2? Yeah, minus the function. Now you want to put parentheses around that because you have to subtract the whole thing. Okay, so it's minus the 5x minus 1. You're going to subtract the function. And then it is all over h. That's really the only difficult step. After that, it's just a bunch of algebra, distributing, combining like terms, stuff you guys are actually very, very good at. It's mostly about staying organized, okay? What will you get from this first part? Yep. 5x plus 5h, good, minus 1. And then here you have to distribute the negative. Everything's just going to flip-flop its sign. So minus 5x plus 1 all over h. Now, if you've done your job correctly, a lot of stuff should cancel out. So if stuff doesn't cancel out, you lost a negative somewhere is what happens, okay? I like to put boxes around the things that cancel. I think that helps like box them off. So what is going to go away here? All right, 5x and minus 5x. All right, negative 1 and 1. So we end up with 5h over h. That's all that's left after all that canceling. And what does that equal? Why does it equal 5? Yeah, h is canceled. Now, I want you to look at the original problem and look at the answer and make a connection. Yeah, this is an mx plus b, and 5 is the slope. So if it's linear, and listen to me, slope only applies if it's linear. If it's not linear, it won't work. But if it is linear in y equals mx plus b, you don't have to do any of that work. What is the answer to this question? But that only works if it's a line, okay? We'll do one more and then I'll give you your halfway through it. So do you see how this is squared? Not a line anymore. Because what if you graph that, what would it look like? It'd be like a parabola, okay? So what is step 1? Plug in x plus h. Now that would give you x plus h. Right, perfect. Oh my gosh, you guys listen to me. It's perfect. Don't write squared, just write it twice because you're going to have to multiply that out. And then minus 2. So that's step 1. What's step 2? Yep, minus the function. So minus, put parentheses, and then it's just the function. And then it's all over h. Usually somewhere around here is when I get asked, do I have to put it over h? Because I get that that makes the paper really messy. As long as you put it in at the end, like as long as it comes into play somewhere, if you don't want to write the whole thing over h on every single step, I will let that go. Okay, as long as your answer ends up correct. If you get a correct answer in math. All right, so let's multiply this out. X times x. X squared. The outsides give you xh. The insides give you xh. So together, 2xh. And then h times h is h squared. I'm actually going to write that on the board behind me because you're going to do x plus h squared so many times that I would encourage you to probably just know that. Do you know what I'm saying? You're going to do that over and over and over and over again. So I'm going to just leave it up there behind us. It's x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. All right, minus 2. And then here you have to distribute the negative. Everything just flip-flops its sign. So minus x squared plus 2 over h. Once you've expanded it, again, what should happen is that things should cancel. If they don't, this is very like self-checking. If things don't cancel, you know you had a mistake somewhere. All right, so what's going to go away? Yep, good. The x squareds are gone. Yep, negative 2 and positive 2. If you box things in, that kind of helps. Now, look at the two terms that are left. Do you see how they both have an h in them? You are going to factor the h out. It is GCF. So put an h, start a parenthesis. It's undistributing, GCF. When you factor out the h, what's left? Good, 2x plus h. This is the step where if you weren't writing the whole thing over h, you would have to put it back, as long as you throw it in at the end. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that's about what I was just going to say. These cancel, and so your final answer is 2x plus h. So you have to bring it in that last step, because the last step is that h should cancel. All right, so for this one, do you notice how there's two x's? There's two variables in the problem. Yeah. Okay, that means step 1, when you plug in x plus h, you have to plug into both of them. Okay, otherwise your stuff's not going to cancel. So when you plug into the first one, it would be x plus h squared, which you would just want to write it twice. Or if you do want to just go ahead and memorize what x plus h squared is, you could just go ahead and write out that if you want to. Okay, I'm going to just do it in the next step. And then it would be plus 4x plus h. Again, the common mistake is people just put 4x. And I get why it happens. But again, you won't get things to cancel appropriately. So you should be able to catch it. Like you'll be like, hey, stuff doesn't cancel. All right, what's the second step? Yeah, minus the function, like that stuff. So minus parentheses, and then just put the function inside of it. And then it's all over h. And again, if you want to just throw that in at the last step, that's okay. As long as your answer's right, I'll be fine with it. So when you multiply out this first part, it will be x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. What does this next part give you? Or are you guys all ahead of me? Okay. No, I'll just work at my pace. You work at your pace. Then I like when that happens. You guys are just all doing the problem on your own. Just double check and make sure your answer's right. All right, plus 4x plus 4h, and then distribute the negative. Everything's just going to change its sign. So then once you expand it, that's the expansion, making it longer. Then you're going to look for things that cancel. So, hey guys, what cancels out? There should be at least two things. All right, x squareds are gone and 4x. Okay. Do you see how there's 3 terms left? They all should have an h in them. If they don't, then you had a whoopsie. But yes, we're going to take out an h. You're going to GCF out the h. That would leave you with 2x plus h plus 4. Now, this is the step where if you weren't writing divided by h, I need to see it there. And the reason why is your final step is that those h's should cancel out. And these go the same way every time. You'll factor out an h and then the h's cancel. So what's left is your final answer. All right, let's do one more. What's step 1? Plug in x plus h, and do you see how there's 2 places where you have to do that? Now I am going to kind of skip right to that step up there. It would be 3, and then x squared, or x plus h squared is x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. That's what that's going to give you. All right, and then plus, and then what would come next? Good, 6x plus h, and then minus 1. That's step 1. You plugged in x plus h. It's just, I already expanded the x plus h squared. Do you guys remember the Pascal's triangle thing? The 1 and then 1, 2, 1? That's like part of that. Anyway, never mind. Just trying to make a connection there. All right, then what is step 2? Yeah, minus the function. So just minus parentheses and then the function is what goes in there. Step 3 is the whole thing is over h. On this one especially, I get why you might not want to do that. Right. Now we're going to distribute. So the first part will give you what? Good. Perfect. And this is mostly about organization at this point. It's not hard. You're just multiplying numbers together, but you have to stay organized. All right. And then you're going to distribute the 6. So it'll be plus 6x plus 6h minus 1. And then distribute the negative. So everything just changes sign. And then you're going to look for stuff to cancel. So that's expand. Then you look for things that cancel. And again, if they don't, you know you had a mistake somewhere, and then you can go back and figure out where that happened. So 3x squareds are gone. What else? 6x is gone. And the 1s. Basically, everything that doesn't have an h in it should go away. So how many terms do we have left? 3. And they all have an h. Good. So if you factor out an h, you will be left with 6x plus 3h plus 6. And if you weren't writing over h, that's the step where you have to write it, because they cancel, and then what's left is your final answer. No, that's fine.